She just had.
Oh.
Yeah.
The agenda.
I was just.
Signed, Jim Maria, and then listing date is.
Every concept is, I don't know, it just seems like.
Christina Maria.
Just like what we said. Like, this is not, there's not, this is not.
I tried to sign you, well, sign can only go out 24 hours until your life. So technically, you have to send out until Friday. Set out Friday. So stupid. That's all you want to know.
They're waited.
And that's their piece. Yeah.
Did you guys?
Okay, you just said that.
Was that at your place over there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was just like
I have a contract sent you and all this.
clouds. And honestly, the like wasn't that big. We're just on the dock that thing just went out.
That's so right. Like all about Rains Valley course. I just course.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good morning, everybody.
Great turnout.
Yeah.
So excited.
So Justin and I were talking.
Yeah. So, hello. Hold, we've got you a spot up here. So super excited for today, in-person training. Like, how great is that? It's always the best. I know it's something that we've kind of lost since COVID, and I was so excited whenever I asked Aaron to come in, and he was like, absolutely. When, where, what do you want me to teach? So I have been coaching with Aaron since 2019. He was with Jen for 5 years. I think prior to that, grew her buy-side business to what it was. I mean, now look at her. I mean, I think the big thing that Gary always says is you can be anywhere you want to be in 5 years. And she's a true testament to that, where, you know, she had transitioned into selling 16 houses a year, built a team, grew that to, you know, business within a business, team within a team, 225 plus transactions on a consistent, you know, year over year base. And now she's like the 4th top person in KWRI. If you guys don't realize that, out of 180,000 agents, she is literally the 4th highest person or 3rd highest person.
It's amazing.
So she's huge into maps, of course. And then I get to coach with Aaron. He's an executive maps coach, which is kind of, you know, more elite than just regular maps coach. It's the elite of the elite. So he's in the thick of it every single day. He's got several people that he still coaches, and, you know, I'll let you kind of expand on all the things that you've done, you know, expansion and coaching and everything else, but super excited for you guys. Be very interactive. We love high energy. And hopefully you guys get a lot out of today. So, here's Aaron.
Thanks, Carrie. All right, so thank you, Carrie. So again, I am Aaron Hurd. I'm an executive maps coach at Keller Williams. Been doing this coaching gig for about 7 years. Been selling real estate since 2007. And so really good time in the business to get in, right? Because 2008 happened, and does anybody know what happened in 2008?
Yep.
Yeah, nothing great, except that I got in the business. That's a good thing. In that, we had the opportunity to learn some new things, and the clicker's not working, so I'm gonna go ahead.
I think pointed at the laptop.
There we go. So just a little bit about me. We'll just spend a couple of minutes about me, and then we're going to jump into the topic, which is 10 simple steps to tripling your business. Now, I posted a little video yesterday. There's nothing in here is going to be new, you guys. We don't need anything new to learn. We need reminders regularly. And sometimes, you know, we hear the same thing from a different person and we go, wow, that makes sense. This is something we need to implement today. And my goal is that you guys leave here prepared to go make positive changes that's going to put you in position for tripling your business. And I'm not just like, there's no silliness about this. I don't care if you're selling, you know, no homes, let's get you to 3, or if you're selling 300 houses, let's get you to 900. The reality is you can triple your business wherever you're at in your business. I've helped grow one of the largest expansion organizations in the country, selling over 1,000 houses in a year, in 97 locations. And today I own an expansion team myself. We're at 6 locations across the country. And we sell about $100 million in real estate every year. So not too bad, you know. we do a few things. So that's about me. All right. So first things first, before we can go into like truly strategizing on tripling your business, we have to do math. Math is a very important aspect to our business because the path is always found in the math. Now, anybody here love doing the math? I mean, if it's not 3% or 6%, most people are like, it's not as ideal, right? And yet it's very, very important. Now, we talked about key performance indicators, KPIs. Key performance indicators consist of things that are measurable that you can control, right? These are the volume of conversations that you're choosing to have, the volume of additions to your database, the volume of handwritten notes that you choose to write and send out to customers, the number of appointments that you ultimately end up scheduling, the number of appointments that you end up going on. When you go on appointments, then we start signing and writing contracts, right? We write buyer broker agreements. Who here signs buyer broker agreements exclusively? Meaning you don't work with buyers that choose to not sign a buyer broker agreement with you. Good, we've got a handful of us. It's a great business practice. Who here lists properties without signing listing contracts? Weird, nobody. Again, it's one of those things where you go, it's a little bit of an odd thing, but as a business owner, because we're all business owners, we have to look at what we can control and what are the performance metrics that we can like influence, right? So signing buyer broker agreements, signing listing contracts. And then once we have these signed, another key performance indicator is what is our conversion metric? What percentage of the time do these people go under contract with us? And then again, like what's our sale fail rate? Did you guys know last year, title companies, one of the largest title companies in the industry put out an article that suggested that 85% of opened escrows closed. 85% of opened escrows closed. So what does that tell you? This is on the US level, 15% of transactions fall apart. How many of us can control that? Like sale fails happen. If you don't plan for it, when a sale fail happens, you're devastated, right? It's like the worst feeling when somebody says, I gotta back out. Especially if you only have that 1 or 2 transactions going, it's like, this sucks. I get it, I've been there, done that. When you have 10 transactions at a time, it sucks less, and yet it still sucks. You know, they all suck. But if you don't understand that that's normal and customary as a business owner, then you start wondering and going internal, like, well, what could I have done differently? Sometimes you can't. 15% of the time, transactions fail, you guys. So just be at peace with some of it, because these are averages. You might beat the averages every now and then, but what are the odds you're going to win all the time? Right? Anybody ever go to Vegas? You can play. There's an opportunity for you to win, but how consistent will you win? When you know these numbers, it kind of evens the playing field and allows your emotions to settle a little bit. Does that make sense? Yeah. So numbers are the language of our business. So before we jump into it, I want to walk you guys through a simple economic modeling process. Is that okay? All right. So if you're taking notes, follow along with me here. And in good like Gary Keller fashion, we're going to start with a triangle, okay? So this is going way back to the basics. Who here, by the way, I mean, we are what? We're halfway through the year. So who here at the beginning of this year wrote a business plan? Let me see your hands. Okay, so there's a lot of opportunity for improvement here. So in that business plan, we would establish what's the most important thing in our goal establishment. Money, right? Why are we doing this? We want to make money. So we have to look at it when we're establishing goals. Well, how much money do I want to make this year? Right? Like, obviously there's reasons why we're in this industry. We don't just do it for kicks and giggles. If you didn't get paid, would you be doing this? If the opportunity to not earn income if the opportunity to earn income went away, would you still be like, hey, can I help you buy, sell, or invest in real estate? I love this. For most of us, the answer is no, right? There has to be a financial win to it. And we have an incredible opportunity in this industry where we have literally no ceiling of our achievement. There's no cap to how much money you can earn. This is your choice, by the way. And every choice that we make is going to lead us either towards it or away from it. Either towards us or away from it. So when we establish our business plan, all we're doing is saying, hey, I guess, and this is just my best guess, that if I choose to show up and do this, and this, that is gonna be a reality for me this year. Make sense? So what we're gonna do is walk you through this. So what would be a number that you would think the average person wants to make this year? Go ahead and shout some numbers out. How much money?
100K, someone you always.
100,000? Anybody else? Okay, 100,000 it is. Lively bunch today. Hot day. So $100,000, that's our goal income. Now you put your numbers in here. You're
Someone in
taking-
the chat said 250.
All right, perfect. $250,000. Put $250,000 there. I love that. When you look at this, you go, okay, there's some cost associated with earning income. That's a cost of sale. If you're on a team, there's a partnership model there. You would ultimately divide that by whatever that percentage is, right? If you're splitting it with a business partner, you're 50-50. So you have to understand that. If you're a single agent and you have a cap and royalty, we need to identify that, and we can essentially tack that onto it for you to have a break even gross revenue of this income. Okay, for you to make that much money, you got to understand what it costs for you to do it. In this circumstance, we'll say $100,000 is what our goal is. And what's our average sales price in our marketplace? So 250K average price. And then what's the average percentage that we receive on the list side or the buy side? Just overall, generally, what do we receive in commission percentages? 2.8%. So again, this is average. We're not talking about commissions or, no fixing dollars here. This is just what we see as an average receipt of income in our marketplace. So what's 2.8 of $250,000?
Should have said 3, shouldn't I? The average though.
Say it.
7.
7K? Okay, so we have $7,000 average per transaction, right? So how many times does 7,000 go into 100,000?
Everybody's rounding up.
14? So that's the number of units we need to sell on average, right? There's going to be highs, there's going to be lows, though we understand that consistently is going to produce average results in our marketplace. There's a lot of things that we can't really control when it comes to that. Obviously, you can run a niche model and really work towards a high-end sales price, or you can operate on a niche model where you operate in a very low income and a high volume, all up to you. And yet when we look at just the averages in the market, this is what shows up. Fair? So 14 transactions puts you in alignment with having that. Now, If we have cap and royalty, you would tack that on there, and then you would just, probably add another unit or two, and just understand what it takes for you to hit your goals. So now we understand in terms of numbers, tangibly, look, we need to sell more than one house every single month to be in alignment with this over the next 12-month period of time. Pretty simple, right? It's nothing profound here. But we get to explore now, what specific measurables do we need to do to be in alignment with it? And this is where I want you guys to go deep on your numbers and your math, right? Because this is what is going to get you out of bed in the morning with conviction of what you believe you need to do to be in alignment with having this show up for you.
Wouldn't you also want to add in the 15% fallout?
We're gonna get to that,
Yeah.
right? So remember I said there's no ceiling, right? You can make as much money as you wanna make. Be aware of that. Because there's no ceiling, there's also no floor. And this can be a very expensive hobby. Everybody gets sold everything. We invest a lot of time and energy. Time is money, y'all. We got to be very aware of this. So this is why we get clear on what the predictions are, so we can say, I believe it. Like if I did this, the odds of that not showing up are crazy low. So for me, it's like, okay, that's what I got to do today, whether I feel like it or not. This is my commitment for the work. So if we're going to close 14 transactions, to be able to get a closed escrow, we need to open escrow, yeah? And we understand that 15% nationally has a sale fail. So we have to do some math. If we want to close 14, reverse engineer it, how many under contracts do we need to get 14 closed? 17? So I'm just going to call it pendings, right? We need 17 pendings to get 14 to close. All right, to get a property under contract, we need to do what?
The conversions.
We need to write offers or negotiate contracts. So if we have listings, we need to receive offers. If we're representing buyers, we need to write offers. So we can measure this. Now, if you wrote 10 offers in your business this week, how many would you project to get accepted? These are your numbers. There's no averages on this that I can say this happens nationally. This also has a translation of skill set, also has a translation of business modeling. I coach an individual who writes 200 offers a week for acquisitions for real estate investments to get one accepted offer.
Oh, God.
200 a week.
God.
But it's a very shotgun blast, right? It's his business model. He understands it. He understands the leverage. He understands the investment. He understands it all and goes all in. He's like, this is what we do to generate this result. By the way, he makes in excess of $1 million a year. So you guys say, oh, and he goes, I don't care. I'm doing it. Right? It is work, fact. And it doesn't give great immediate, like the numbers aren't sexy, but he understands it. Right? The income is great. Agreed? So again, the math kind of defines what we should be doing or could be doing that would put us in alignment. It may not generate it, but it's going to put you in alignment, right? Listen to my words. It may not actually show up. Though if you're consistent with the actions, the odds are that you're going to start moving towards being there when it's there. It's very important. So we have to write and negotiate offers. And so you might say, look, 50% of the offers that we receive or that we write are acceptable offers. Again, maybe. So what is that? 34?
Yes.
So that's at a 50% conversion. Again, your numbers are your numbers. So to be able to write an offer, what do we need? We need clients, right? And this is where you could say, what type of client do I want? Do I want seller clients? Do I want buyer clients? Right? It's important. You should separate it. and understand, hey, maybe I want half my business to be sellers, I want half to be buyers. You can model that and say, okay, well, if I want 50% sellers, 50% buyers, how many buy-side clients do I need to be in alignment with writing 17 or 17 or having 17 clients that want to write offers? Right? We need more than 17 clients if you want 17 of them to write offers, don't we? Because what are the odds 100% of our clients are actually going to perform? And same with the listings. How many listings do we need actively being marketed? How many signed listing contracts do we need to go on the market that actually receive acceptable offers? Because again, not 100% of all listings sell. Maybe new concept for some of us because that's the market we've been in, and yet moving into more normal real estate, not 100% of all listings sell, especially in a timely manner. When I first started, we had 10.4 months of inventory, and that was the start. And we went up to 16 months of inventory supply. Wrap your head around that for a second. When we were promoting guaranteed to sell your home in 120 days or we'll buy your house. 120 days or we'll buy it. And that was exciting. People are like, what? You could guarantee that my house will sell in 120 days? That's wild, right? Then it moved to 90 days and 60 days. And then it's like now 72 hours, right? But now pay attention. The 72 hours is no longer 72 hours guaranteed sold. The numbers are shifting. They're not guarantees anymore. Now they're suggestions. But so now you know, it's like, hey, I need this many listings if 80% of my listings that go to market or that sign with me go to market and go under contract, receive acceptable offers. If 65% of the buyers that I work with actually go and write offers, negotiate contracts, and buy real estate through me, I need this many customers. Okay, we don't need to continue to go down this, but I'm gonna allow you to do that on your own. But understand, how many customers do we need based on what you believe those customers will actually convert to? If you had 10 buyers that said, hey, I really want to buy a home in the next 90 days, how many of those will actually be willing or able, and how many actually will, right? How many might learn that their second cousin is a real estate agent and say, oh my God, I'm so sorry, but I have to use them because my mom's going to kill me if I don't. Like, it happens, right? It happens to the best of us. So you need to understand that and just make an educated guess, right? And I would always err on increasing the fallout instead of saying, oh, if I had 10 people that said, yes, I want to do it, I'm going to for sure do 9. Well, just maybe fluff it a little bit. So what's the worst that happens? You hit your goal faster? Shucks, right? So no, how many customers do you need? Well, then to get customers, what needs to happen first? We need to go on an appointment. So this is held appointment, right? Because if we're not meeting with our customers, what are the odds that they become our customers? So we got to meet with them. For buyers, meet with them at your office, have a buyer strategy session, really learn what their wants and needs and goals are and understand who are they? What's important to these people? If they're sellers, meet them at their house. Understand what's their wants, needs, and goals. Who are they? What's important to them about selling? What's their timeline? All this stuff. But how many held appointments do we need to be in alignment with generating this many customers? So this happens here. When we understand that, we say, hey, I go on this many appointments. Well, if I went on 10 listing appointments this week, how many listing customers would I get to sign with me? Your numbers are different than mine, right? Though you make a guess. If I went on 10, I'll walk home with 7 signed contracts, 8 signed contracts, right? Whatever that is number for you, just put it down. So make your assumptions and say, we're just scaling it out. Well, to go on an appointment, you guys, what needs to happen first?
Lead generate.
We gotta set the appointment. Arguably one of the most important KPIs, key performance indicators. If you guys want to walk away from this and just have one goal in mind, focus on this. Understand what your number is and hit that. Because this becomes like the first domino in a series of dominoes that fall. When you do this, that happens. When you do this, that happens. When you do that, that happens. Whether you want it to happen or not. There's customers that have come into my world, whether selling or buying, that months and months and months and months after we've met and had these conversations, that they call and say, hey, by the way, are you still our real estate agent? Because we found a house that we want you to write an offer on us for. Like legitimately, it's like, oh my gosh, I'm sorry, I failed to stay in contact with you. Like I'm only so good, but because the volume shows up, we have abundance showing up, right? Don't follow my footsteps and not call your clients, by the way. Just understand, this is the first leading domino. To schedule appointments though, now we talk about action plan, right? You got to schedule the appointments and know how many appointments you need to schedule to go on appointments. By the way, buyer appointments tend to have a higher cancellation or no-show rate than listing appointments. Why? Because we tend to go to the seller's houses versus asking the buyers to come to us. So we lack a little bit more control on the buy side than we do on the sales side or on the list side. So understand that your conversion metrics can be different on either side as you understand to get this many customers on the list side, you need to go on this many appointments. It's going to be different. Okay. Your conversion metrics aren't the same. But we're going to have to schedule the appointments. So to do that, there's a series of ways that you can do that, right? This is your lead generation activities. These are the models that you choose to operate on. But you need to be understanding of what model you operate on, and then you freaking operate it. You actually do what you say you do. If you want to dominate open houses, and that's your business model, you're going to lean in and just live and operate that. Well, understand what needs to happen to have an open house. How many open houses do you need to host to be in alignment with scheduling this many appointments? You can't guarantee it, that's a fact. Though we believe based on doing these actions, it's going to put us in alignment with having these results show up. Does that make sense? Just make sure we're tracking with everybody. If it's, you can simplify it and just say conversations, which is what my preferred method is. I love internet lead gen based models. I love sphere of influence based models. I love direct business to business models. All are amazing. But it all has one thing in common, conversations. So you can say, hey, how many conversations must I have that put me in alignment with scheduling an appointment? So if we talk to 100 people today, purposefully spoke to 100 people today, whether it's sphere or internet or business to business, whatever your model is, how many people would say yes to meeting with me if I asked them for a meeting? You answer that, that gives you some expectations on what your conversion metrics might be. If you said, if I talk to 100 people, 5 people would say yes to meeting with me. Well, that's a 5% conversion metric. So to schedule one appointment, you got to talk to 20 people, right? And if your need is to schedule 100 appointments in a year to go on 60 to get 50 customers, to get 34 offers written, to pen 17 homes, now you know exactly what you need to do every day. Does that make sense? You chunk it down to the stupid and say, well, I got to get that no matter what. Before we move from this, is there any questions that we need to address on that? Simple, right? Like I said, nothing new here. It's very important that you get clarity on this. When you know what this number is, that becomes your one thing. And like Gary has taught us, until your one thing is done, everything can feel like a distraction, or everything else is a distraction. You just prioritize knocking it out. Okay. Now on to the 10 steps. Once we know where we're going, now we got to get there. So to get there, you have to practice your skill set. Practicing is, there's an art to practice, you guys. They've said that, you know, perfect practice is what's really important, not just practicing. So on the slide, you can see visualize winning your day. I had an opportunity to talk with Grady's team this morning, and we talk about this formula, which is performance equals potential minus interference. So performance equals potential minus interference. Performance equals potential minus interference. Okay? What that means is that when you understand what your potential is, and if you have interference in your life, you're not going to be able to perform. So I shared with them, I said, if you owned a factory that built like Rubik's Cubes or widgets, you name it, and you have an assembly line, and it's, you know, you got a crew of people, and the machine is pumping out 100 Rubik's Cubes per hour, whatever it is. That's the potential that this machine has, right? And you know it because we understand it. This is what that thing's potential is. It's not going to do 150 an hour. It's built for 100 an hour. If it starts underproducing, if it starts hitting 80 Rubik's Cubes an hour, there's an interference somewhere in the machine. Make sense? So logically, we're going to go and interrogate reality and find out what's up. Do we need to, you know, grease the belt, or maybe, you know, Terry called in sick and that's where everything's slowing down. Like whatever it is, we need to interrogate our reality to say, what is causing our machine to not perform at its potential? That's all we're seeking out here. So your potential is going to be different than my potential, than Josh's potential, than, you know, anybody else's. It's your potential. So you need to identify and visualize what that might look like for you. So a question to ask yourself is, what does elite performance look like? What does it look like to, what would it look like to sell 100 houses in a year? Or what would it look like to schedule 10 appointments a day? Or whatever the number is, like what you got to visualize what that could be for you and start picturing with clarity on, like, I think a peak performance would put me in the office, you know, head down, no distractions from this time to this time, just going all in on my one thing, right? Like you have to understand what that looks like for you. Nobody can make this up for you. But if you can't see it in your own mind, the idea of you actually bringing it to fruition, it's near impossible. It's near impossible. There's a story about Roger Bannister. You guys recognize that name? Roger Bannister broke the 4-minute mile as an athlete a long time ago. Until Roger Bannister broke a 4-minute mile, doctors and, like, you know, all the leaders of the athletic performance literally said the human body will die if it pushes themselves beyond that pace. It is impossible to run faster than a 4-minute mile. You will die. You cannot do it. Nobody else has ever done it in history. And it took him a journey of several years. I don't know exactly what it is. You can Google it, check it out. So I think it's like 10 or 15 years of him, like, I can see it. I know how it's done. He can run little sprints at the pace of what it would look like to do a whole, if he can just run that in succession 5 times or 4 times. You can do the quarter mile in 1 minute. Why can't you do that 4 times in a row, right? So his brain is like, I can visualize, I can see myself doing it. Now getting there is a whole different thing. But here's the magic behind it. As soon as he hit that goal, within days, somebody else hit it because they saw somebody else do it. They understood it was real. You can do it, I can do it. They can visualize it now because it's a real belief. Like, no, it's real. Why can't you do that? And then another person, then another person, then another person, right? And then all the other people. And Roger Bannister goes down in history as the first person. And it's breaking mental barriers. But if you can't visualize it to start, getting to the end is going to be really, really tough. Like really tough, almost not impossible. Also, you don't really know what your finish line is, right? Any runners in the room? Literally nobody. Anybody got time for that?
Just you.
Yeah, just me.
Just you.
Just me. Running is an important thing or a really neat thing to look at because in a race, there's a finish line. Everybody knows it. You know where you're starting, you know where you're ending. How long it takes you to get to the finish line, that's your journey, that's your race. Though we know when we're done. That's the important thing. We know what the finish line looks like already because we've actually probably started at the finish line. We've seen it. We have a clear picture of what it's going to look like. We can even visualize ourselves going across the finish line and like going, yes, I'm done. I did this. Like you can see that, you can feel it before you even do it. So when you're in the trenches, when you're feeling it, you're hurting, you don't want to keep running, you're like, but I'm almost done. If I could just keep going. Like I know by enduring this pain for this much more time, I'm going to be done with this and I can knock it off the list. So we kind of do that here by starting with the end in mind. This is your finish line. Now, the goal is you can establish this like timeline goal. So for me, I just did an Ironman, which is a pretty big deal. And I had a goal to finish in sub 14 hours. And I finished in 14 hours and 2 minutes, right? Which was amazing. Though it's not about the timeline. The timeline gets thrown out the window. It's about finishing. But you start with a goal. You start with like, no, this is my timeline. This is what I want to achieve. And you start working towards it based on your belief on how you're going to get there, what you can endure, how, you know, what kind of pain tolerance you have. In business, picking up the phones, oftentimes it's a painful experience for many of us. It becomes a joyful experience. Anybody ever heard of a runner's high? Yeah, you get real high. And it becomes joyful until you're high, it's not joyful. Once the high is over, it's not joyful. I promise you that, right? Though in your business, the same principles operate. Picking up the phone the first time is kind of like, feels like a brick sometimes, and it's hard to do. But then you get that little bit of win and you're like, oh, hello, hey, yeah, okay, I'll do this again and again and again. And then what happens is we go to bed and we reset, and then the next day we're like, oh no, a really heavy phone, you know. You got to get those wins. It becomes joyful. Just starting sometimes is really tough. So when we practice, we start with the end in mind. Every single conversation for you should lead to what?
The business.
Asking for a business, leading to an appointment or a referral opportunity. Okay, so let's just dissect this for a second. Not every single person should be an appointment. Though every single person should be your advocate, should commit to helping you identify other buyers, sellers, investors of real estate. They should be the person that you can count on for generating a couple of deals for you this year. Now, how will you know if they will? You have to ask them, right? If you want to sell 14 houses, you only need 7 people that commit to giving you 2 referrals that close a year. Can you think of those 7 people right now that would love to see you win? That would love to see you help their friends or family this year that will commit to giving you 2 referrals? most people can absolutely think of those people. Just a handful of people. What if those people gave you one referral every quarter versus one every 6 months? And who do you need to show up as to ensure that that is a reality? Remember, if you don't ask, you don't receive. The answer is always no if you don't ask. There's no risk for you to ask. There's nothing to lose by asking. And yet so many amazing, talented human beings like yourselves that are education-based that for some reason just like have this wall in front of them that just, you don't want to ask. Does anybody else have that feeling sometimes where it's like, I don't want to be like pushy for business? Yeah. And it's kind of an odd thing, right? Like our businesses are built by referral, like the relationships that we have, the service values that you believe in and bring, but they don't know that you need referrals. They're making assumptions that you're crushing life as it is. And gosh, even I've had this personally, even recently, that people have made the assumption that I'm too busy for their little referral. They're not buying the big expensive properties that you sell, Aaron. So I just, didn't tell them about you. What? I'll sell everything, right? I want to help the families achieve their goals. Whether it's inexpensive or big, it doesn't matter to me. A home sale is a home sale is a home sale because the averages play heavily in my business. It happens. Your loved ones will not refer you if you don't ask them because they make assumptions, right? So it's important. You practice asking for business. Now notice I say practice asking for the appointment 6 times. Don't ask for the appointment 6 times in real life, please. That's like psycho status. But what I want you to do is be capable of asking for the appointment 6 times. In the event that there's an opportunity for you to, you're going to be positioned better and more apt to actually use the words when you practice it at a high level. In practice is where you can fail. There's no judgment in practice. We always win in practice, right? That's the name of the game. So partner with somebody and role play a normal conversation that you normally would have and start with every single time you're in the conversation, you got to ask for an appointment. And the appointment could be a referral as well, right? So it doesn't mean like, hey, you need to meet with me. No, it's like, can I count on you for helping me find or introducing me to somebody in the next 30 days that's considering buying, selling, or investing in real estate this year? And they go, well, I don't really know. I don't like referring people. Hey, that's okay, but thanks for thinking about it. What would it take for me to earn that trust from you? And you just start the conversation and move towards influencing, asking 6 different times, 6 different ways for you to achieve your goal in the role play. Again, not that you will take that into real life, but start practicing it enough. And, like we're told, amateurs practice until they get things right. What do professionals do?
Practice till they can't get it wrong.
They practice until they cannot get it wrong. And this is a very important aspect because you don't want to be like, oh, I should have said this. Oh, dang it. There was a great opportunity for me to, ask for the appointment or ask for a referral. You don't want to have those second guessing remarks after you hang up the call. That's where being a pro shows up. You should just default go into those conversations in your head and blurt it out without even having to think about it. But you got to practice to be able to make that a reality. And it becomes a lot of fun, but do it. Memorization techniques is saying your scripts out loud or just identifying the questions or the statements that you're going to say. Read them out loud to yourself. Anybody else watch The Simpsons growing up? Yeah, good. The very first intro is Bart always writing down on the chalkboard, right? I will not do this. I will not do this. I will not do this. It's a practice for memorization. Write it down. Write it down 100 times. What are the odds you're going to forget what you just wrote down 100 times? Slim to none, right? So write down the words that you want to begin using a lot, then start saying them a lot. And all of a sudden, it just comes naturally out of your mouth. You won't even have to think about it. You know, these scripts can get you in trouble unless you make them your own. So if you're just like literally verbatim saying what other people say and you don't, that's not you, that's not what you believe in, you can get in trouble. Be careful with it. Use the script, adapt it, make it your own, internalize it, and stop being a dang robot and stop scripting people. Have conversations with people. Use your words to move the dialogue in a direction in which you want to go. It's not necessarily a script anymore. It's just your words that you use that moves people towards your goals with that person. My goal is to identify in this conversation, are you a buyer, seller, investor, or do you have any referrals and can you refer me to people? That's my goal during this conversation right now. So my words are going to move the conversation forward in that manner. Does that make sense? And yet it's not going to feel like a script because it's been a practiced, deliberate, purposeful conversation for my history. So people are always like, man, you're the most scripted. You're so good with what you say. It just rolls off your tongue. Okay, it didn't until it did, right? We all start somewhere. Picking up the phone for me was a hard thing to do too, until it wasn't. Just be aware of that. But this is step one. Practice. If you're not practicing, you're in trouble, right? Even the best practice. Create a personal daily standard. Now, what this means for me is like, know what you do that allows you to go to bed at night proud of what you accomplished in your business that day. Nobody wants to go to the gym. Everybody leaving the gym is proud that they just went to the gym. They go to bed that night going, I at least made it to the gym. There's a book that Colonel McRaven wrote called Make Your Bed. And this bed is so impactful about one simple strategy of just starting your day by doing something with precision and accuracy that you control. Simple as making your bed. Because no matter how bad the day is, these are military guys, right? No, your brother could have, gotten shot. It could have been that bad. You can come back tonight and know that you did something right. You had control over this. Nobody else stopped you from that. So taking this into your business, saying, hey, my personal daily standard, it may be a volume of conversations that you choose to have. It may be a number of handwritten notes that you choose to send out. Again, it oftentimes isn't like a result of something like scheduling an appointment. I know it says set one appointment with somebody who has an interest in buying or selling a home. That could be one of your daily standards. And yet even that has something to do with other people's decision, right? I want you to just say, what can I control such that by doing it probably puts me in alignment with having a better result than not doing it, right? And something that you're proud of. You move the needle forward. You're creating momentum on the flywheel to keep it moving even in the days that you fail at achieving that goal. It still is like empowering your business to grow. Sending out thank you cards, by the way, very rarely does it immediately give you great results, though with consistency drives some of the most profound results. Sharing a little bit of time and writing them out, which secret time, you can do all in one sitting and then just mail them out at a different time during the week. If your goal is to write 50 handwritten notes a week, 10 a day, then get all 50 written in one day and then just get them sent out, like address them and send them out throughout the week. Like you don't have to do it all in the moment. You can plan it, predict it, and just do it, right? But it doesn't have to be like this spontaneous feeling of like, oh yeah, I should do that. I'm gonna do it right now. There's no spontaneity here. We need to be very purposeful and plan this. We're gonna talk about our schedule and time blocking here in a minute, but this is a very important practice. Again, simple, not always easy to remain consistent because all the outside influences and things that show up. And yet if that's our one thing for the day, if that's our game plan, I'm gonna execute on this no matter what happens, then when is that gonna be scheduled? Right? And by when will it get done? What can we do to make sure that that is being done every single day? I think one of the best things though is voice-to-voice conversations. Like you choose to move your business forward by having conversations. And even if they don't generate the results in which you want, you're committed to having this many dialogues with people, right? And it's a simple thing to control. I'll commit to 20 voice-to-voice conversations today. When I go to Starbucks, I'm gonna go and ask them, do you know anybody looking to buy, sell, or invest in real estate? Right? And you can ask a lot better questions than that. Though it's just, again, checking the box. There's one. Oh, somebody else walking out the door. You know, get an opportunity to bump into them and ask them. There's two. I'm going to win my day because my goals are more important than anybody else's. So stopping them to have a conversation with them doesn't really bother me because I know my one thing is here and that's the most important thing for me, right? So there's no skin off my back to say, hey, you got a second? Can I ask you a quick question? By the way, a great script for this is, do you have a real estate agent that you refer to when you hear of people thinking about buying, selling, or investing in real estate? A lot of people are like, not really, right? Or they do, right? If they're like, no, not really, like, oh, awesome. Would you be offended if I stayed in contact with you through the means of like periodically emailing you some market stats? So if you ever hear of anybody thinking about it, you can refer them to me. Sure. Great. What's the best email address for you? I'm going to collect their information because where does that information go? Into our CRM so we can follow up with them, right? Oh, by the way, what's your cell number? I'll text you my contact information right now. Oh, thank you. Perfect. Here's my information. I would love to send you a couple of business cards. What's the best mailing address for me to send those business cards to? When I get back, I'm going to write you a note and send those in the mail. I look forward to staying in contact with you. If you need anything, let me know. Grow your database. Shoot, that might be one of those things that you say every single day, I add 2 people to my database that I've met, that I've gained permission to meet. Like that's my one thing, my daily standard. I commit to that practice. I coach an individual that again makes a very good living selling real estate. His one thing is to go on a coffee appointment every day with somebody from his database. So that's his one thing. He's like, I go to coffee every day. I'm just going to invite somebody to come with me. So now he has to be purposeful. And by the way, it takes him about 5 conversations through his database to schedule 1 coffee appointment. He's booked up about 6 weeks. So he's scheduling coffee appointments. He's calling his database today saying, hey, I have coffee with people from my database, like friends, family, past clients, every day of the week, Monday through Friday. And I would love to get you on my calendar and treat you to a cup of coffee. I'm about 6 weeks out. Can we look at our calendars and schedule time for us to go have a cup of Joe? Like that's his one thing. And he crushes it. His referral game is through the roof, but he's purposeful every single day. I call my database, I schedule a coffee appointment. If you're not scheduling at least one, you're not going on one. Right? I mean, you may not go on it today because you scheduled it today, though you schedule one every day, all of a sudden you're going to start going on one every day. It's really important. Like the numbers, again, just tell us. And if that's your business model, then run with it. Just make a commitment. Like this is the one thing that I commit to doing every day. Now, not every day turns out to be a winner. We've all had them. So when you have those challenging days and you completely get derailed because you're a human being and you experience things like everybody else does, have a backup plan. So I heard a story, I don't know if it's exactly true or not, though Tiger Woods, arguably one of the best golfers in the world, biggest rise to his career. The story suggests that he practiced longer and harder than anybody else. And they interviewed him and what he said was, he's like, I'm willing to, but it's not my goal is to practice harder and longer than everybody else. He's like, my goal is to hit 1,000 golf balls every day on the range within 80% of my target zone. So if I'm working on chipping and I'm going this many yards, I have to hit 80% of my balls must land within this zone, okay? That's my one thing. Now, if I fail because it's just an off day or whatever, and I'm hitting outside of my area, then my plan B, whether I like it or not, is that there's a secondary set of golf balls that need to be hit no matter what. So it's like at the end of his work day where he's practicing his skill, because that's the real work of an athlete is they practice their skill like an NFL player. Sunday football is not the work, that's the game. They've earned the right to play that game by working and practicing every single day, right? We can agree on that. So Tiger's work is not the game. It's the practice that puts him in the game. The game is the game. That's where they have fun and they actually just like, they thrive. But that work commitment, it's like, hey, I'm committed to work from this time to this time, which is at the range, and I'm going to hit 1,000 golf balls, whatever. And if I hit my goal, then I'm done for the day. If I don't hit my goal, well, in Tiger's, he's probably going to call the mistresses and tell them that he has to stay at work late. Right? Like, it happened. Can't deny it. But that was the thing. He's like, look, I failed. Therefore, my backup plan, so I can still win the day because I'm an elite performer, is that I'm committed to this additional activity. So unfortunately, cancel my plans. Way back when we created what we call the 15th protocol. And I know Dan and Jen have kind of rebrought that to life in their organization, which you guys essentially could create that for yourself as well. But basically what you say is like, if we hit the 15th of the month, if we're not on goal, then here's a predetermined set of plans that we can commit to doing that are non-negotiables. Much like Tiger and the golf club, like if we don't hit this, we do that, whether I like it or not, that's the plan, okay? And these non-negotiables need to be money-making, business driving, goal achieving activities. So you may not want to do it, but if you guys went and knocked on all the for sale by owners properties this week and got face-to-face with all of them, how many listing appointments would you likely create from that one thing? A lot, right? You would create opportunities. If you talk to 10 for sale by owners at their doorstep saying, look, I know you're not looking to hire a real estate agent, and yet when or if you choose to, I'd love to earn the right to interview for the job. Would that be okay with you that we stay in contact? So if you ever do, like if you were just like that, you're going to get opportunities, right? We know statistically that for sale by owners actually list about the fourth week, 80% of for sale by owners actually list with agents. Like statistically, US stats, and I actually have some stats up here, I'll show you. It's a really big, profound number, and yet nobody wants to go door knock on for sale by owners. I don't blame you, by the way. Door knocking home anybody is not the funnest experience. And yet we know it works. So if you failed at meeting your commitments, that might be your backup plan. Like I failed at doing this, so therefore I'm going to do that. Does that make sense? You could do it on a 15th protocol, kind of like halftime at the football game. We are in the locker room. We just finished the first, half of the game, and we are losing the game. You're not in the locker room with your coach saying, well, that's not going well. No, like you're not saying, well, what do you think we should do? There's no question about what we should do to get back on towards winning this game today, because we've already talked about it. Look, here's the strategy we're going to go to execute to get here. And if we end up at the halfway point and we're not where we want to be, all bets are off. We're going on this play. We are doing that. I know we run the risk of injury. I know we run the risk of, pissing off players because they don't want to do this work. And that gives us the best opportunities or the best chances of winning our day to day. That's the level of like urgency I want you to put on this. Our goals are important, right? The reason we're setting these goals is to do what? To make money for reasons, right? I make money so I can give my family the lifestyle that I never had, right? To be able to afford things that we should be able to afford. It's very important to me. I don't want to let them down. I don't. So therefore I have to show up. If I don't, I run the risk of having to go to my children and say, yeah, I just don't want to work that hard. Therefore, you ain't getting the life that I wanted you to have. I said we were going to do that, and yeah, we're not doing that because that's a lot of work for me. That's not cool. You want to go to Europe? You want to take your family? You want to go to Disney World? You want to do these things? You got to make money to do that. Just the reality. So understand what your backup plans are. Make a commitment. I've challenged a lot of people in the past to do pretty extreme things, and I've gotten great results by it. I'm not suggesting you do this because any thug can, hold a gun to somebody's head and say, get this done or else, right? Though when you understand, it's like a life hacking model. When you understand that people run away from pain faster than they move towards pleasure, you can start incorporating that to say, well, what level of pain could I put in position so that I'm like committed to doing the work? What's the lesser of two evils here? I've had people commit to shaving their heads bald with a Bic razor if they fail or chose to not meet specific measurables.
Personally attacked.
Primarily women, so. But yeah, I mean, let's go for the eyebrows next, right? Again, like, what's the worst thing? Doing this extreme thing, shaving your head, or taking your eyebrows off, whatever, or doing this volume of work, right? I coached a relatively overweight man once, and he said, doing the truffle shuffle. You guys know what that is?
Oh my gosh.
He says, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna record myself doing the truffle shuffle. I'll send it to you. If, and only if, I fail or I choose not to do this action, you can post it, tag me and everything, and it's gonna be super embarrassing. That never went out. I'm not gonna tell you his name. He hit his goals because that pain of knowing that that is out there caused him to show up differently. Does that make sense? All work fills the time that you allow it to be done within. So when you say, hey, here's it, this is everything, I'm all in. And yet there's a consequence if we choose to stop. Now, we as business owners don't actually like report to anybody for the most part. So we internalize that and we're like, well, I don't have to do anything. Well, stop that. Start giving yourself consequences. If you want to make this, if I hired you and paid you this salary, put your number here, by the way. If I paid you $250,000 salary, if I paid you $700,000 salary, would you behave differently? Why?
Because you'd want to keep it.
Because you want to keep it. You're not willing to risk losing it. And when I say, hey, I'm paying you 80 grand a month, I'm going to expect these kinds of results and actions from you to earn that job or to earn that income. That's fair, isn't it? You want to earn it, great. I want to pay it for you, but I'm not a charity. I'm not going to give it to you without getting an action plan in return. We are business owners. So if we eliminate the choice because I'm paying you a salary, now you're unwilling to, if I said, look, you have to make 20 conversations a day, write 2 handwritten notes every day, and knock on 3 homeowners' doors and exchange information with them, and I'll pay you $40,000 a month to do that job. Anybody sign up for it? Almost everybody. Why? Because that's a pretty good gig, isn't it? Only talking to this many people, only doing this, only doing that, and you're gonna think, what? Well, That's half of what you could be earning if you just did it on your own without an employer paying you that. Right? If you have these standards, now, if I did, I'm gonna hold you accountable to it. We're gonna have very fierce conversations the day you choose to show up late, or the day that you choose to not do the actions that we committed to, because at some point I have to say, did you just quit and choose not to tell anybody? What caused you to show up 10 minutes late to our meeting? What's causing you to not show up and do the work that you committed to doing for your role today? Are we winning? Are we committed? Think about that, right? Might be a little fierce to hear, but it makes sense, doesn't it? Man, McDonald's turns profits, you guys, and they have teenagers running the cash register. How? Standards. If a teenager walks in 5 minutes late to their shift at McDonald's, what do you think happens? Hey, chat with you for a second, right? We ain't tolerating being late to your shift. Don't do it again. You continue to do that behavior, you're going to get cut from the team. It's just a matter of fact, because the standards say we show up on time, we do our job, we are dedicated to this one thing during this time block. You're not doing everything. If I put you on washing dishes, wash dishes. Don't go help the line clerk. Don't go run this. You're not on the cash register. You're washing the dang dishes. Do your job from this time to this time. I want you to go on break from this time to this time, meaning go away. Stop working. Do something different outside of here. There's a lot of value in that. You know, people are 110% more effective when they take 30-minute lunch breaks outside of the office. These are real stats, like real Harvard stats, right? It's amazing. So have your plan B, understand what your priorities are and commit to them. You might consider even a 5 p.m. protocol versus a 15th protocol, which is really helpful for larger goals that take larger volumes of action. The reason for that is because if you wait to 50% of the month being gone, it might be too late to catch up for your goals. You have to be a little bit more immediate to take action towards change, the bigger numbers you have. If your goals are relatively 1.2 houses a month, you can afford to wait a lot of times for the 15th of the month. And in 15 days, you can go and secure that 1 or 2 transactions based on your level of actions. But if your goals are 145 sales a year, and now you're at 12 in a month, waiting to the 15th of the month to get back on goal might be devastating to your business goals. Does that make sense? So at the end of your business day, you say, hey, it's 5 p.m. Did I achieve my goal? Yes or no? Did I hit my priority? Did I hit my bucket of balls? And did I achieve what I needed to do? And if the answer is no, shoot. This is what I now have to do or get to do, whatever you want to say, before I go to bed tonight. So your 5 p.m. might consist of go door knock 5 FSBOs or expireds and introduce yourself. Before you go home, that's what you got to do. Or it might be consistent of sending 40 text messages to friends and family saying, sorry to bug you, though I have big goals and I'm curious if you know anybody looking to buy, sell, or invest in real estate that I could be talking with in the near future. Like, I don't necessarily want to do it, and yet because I failed at my priority number 1, I can commit to doing it before I go to bed tonight. Or it might be 50 direct messages on social media with a very similar context. Copy and paste, copy and paste, copy and paste, just get it done. And you can go to bed tonight saying, well, I at least did that, right? I at least accomplished my plan B. Not every day is perfect, and that's okay. Just try to stack as many wins as possible. You win the week, you win enough weeks, you win the month. You win enough months, you win the year, right? Just understand what you need to do to win. That's the important thing. Okay, things to know about some for sale by owners. I'm not going to belabor FSBOs, and yet for sale by owners, they want to sell their real estate, They just don't want to pay any commission. And don't judge them on that. Because I bet you anybody here also selling their own real estate doesn't want to pay commission. Right? I know I've sold a lot of my own personal real estate and I always don't want to pay commission. It drives me nuts. And yet obviously we do. So it's natural to not want to pay commission. It's natural to want to net the most amount of money. And most for sale by owners are high D individuals. They believe that they can do everything on their own without anybody help, probably better than, they just don't understand how real estate agents actually serve them, protect them, and net them more money. Statistically, so there's more FSBOs this year. This is our most recent trends from NAR, the National Association of Realtors. 10%, which is up from 7%. So we're seeing more for sale by owners, which have you guys seen that? Right? Increase in equity, speed in which things are selling. Sellers go, I don't need help. It's a natural thing. So we see more for sale by owners. The majority of FSBO sellers, 50% of them knew the buyers. So if you're a home seller and you already know who wants to buy it, why would you pay a huge commission to make that happen? You wouldn't. You just wouldn't. That's not a financially smart decision to make for most people. But that's still a lot of people that should be utilizing real estate agents. 13% via sold in rural areas, 6% in suburban areas. Now here's the kicker. So I want you to grab your calculator here. FSBOs typically sell for less than the selling price of other homes. For sale by owners sold at a median of $225,000, which is significantly lower than the median of $345,000 for agent assisted homes. Do the math. What's the percentage difference of a median for sale by owner sales price versus an agent assisted median sales price? 60. That was like 30.
That's the difference.
Yeah. So is there pretty much any commission that you could charge that the average for sale by owner wouldn't be willing to pay if they knew that you would net them statistically 30-something% more dollars by allowing you to represent them? No, but they don't understand how it's possible. So therefore, in their head, they're like, I'm not going to do it because I don't believe that you can actually help me net more money. But this is why we should meet. Right? Let's get face to face and let us show you exactly what we do to market homes to get them sold, to net you the most amount of money, protect you, of course, right? Save you time, save you energy. That's powerful, you guys. And it's fact. There's no commission. Like you could charge a lot in percentages if that was the reality. Right? So, all right, talking about time. Anybody else have a challenge with protecting your time? So just me and Colton. All right, time management is it's a thing. It's a very real thing. But time management is also one of those subjective things because every single day provides different requirements. Yeah. Like we're serving customers and everything is liquid and everything is moving and there's so many people and so many moving parts. When you're in a listing appointment or in a buyer strategy session and you're consulting with a seller about listing their property or a buyer about working with you and buying a home and your phone is ringing, what do?
Silence it.
You ignore it. You choose to not even look at it. Weird. Why is that?
And your spending is more important than whatever they're calling you for.
Because you're in the most important meeting of your life right now. This is my one thing. I'm sitting with a seller or a buyer and I'm consulting with them. So anything short of giving them my undivided attention is flat out rude and it puts me at risk for not having a future customer. Agreed? Right. We're allowed to do it. And when you leave that meeting and you pick up your phone, you got a voicemail or a text saying, oh my gosh, urgent, help me. And you call them, everything's okay, right? Like, look, even if the customer wanted to terminate a transaction or do something that you don't agree with, sometimes it even works itself out before you call them back. It's like, hey, sorry, I was in another appointment. What's up? What's going on? Talk to me. It happens, right? We don't have any control over it. What we can control though is the choice that we make in looking, like legitimately even looking. Because if you were to look and you knew that it was a customer that was like rocky and you're like in your head going, shoot, they want to cancel. I know it. They're calling, they're upset, or they text you saying, terminate that contract. We want out. You looked and you're in a consult, you just derailed your entire console, right? Because your insides go, oh no. And your outsides are like, yeah, this is great. That's tough. So building that bunker puts you in position of not even knowing. Ignorance is bliss, right? Like we just should not even know. So this is really fascinating because we know that having purposeful conversations fuels our abundant businesses. And yet the first thing that gets pushed on the wayside is having purposeful conversations that fuel our business, right? We choose to service the book of business that we have today before we find future business. And in business worlds, that's backwards, right? Like Henry Ford famously quoted, it's like, I don't understand why businesses go out of business. Just go find another customer. But we stop finding customers to service the customers that we have, and that's the problem. So what we need to do is schedule that success level and build a bunker that positions you for not even knowing what's going on, right? Technology is kind of difficult to hide from. So you have to be really disciplined in your business, in your mindset, and or create a bunker for yourself that puts you in position to win. But I want you to treat your lead generation, your lead follow-up time block as if you're in a listing appointment, as if you're in a strategy session. Like if you can't turn off your text or incoming calls on your phone for some odd reason, then get another phone or use a landline. Borrow somebody else's phone. Like, hey, my battery died, so don't call me back on this number. Do something, but do not receive notifications on that. I know for the Apple and the Mac, like literally you can go into do not disturb mode or focus mode of some sorts. Like you can set it up where you're not notified. You're not getting the little notifications on your screen saying, hey, somebody texted you. Eliminate that. There are apps out there that allow you to block access to certain apps like social media, Instagram, Facebook. If you find yourself going down the bunny hole, the rabbit trail on like YouTube videos and stuff, hey, we all do it. Don't judge. If you find yourself doing it, totally cool. Just don't do it in your time block for the lead generation activities because it's derailing your success levels. Again, this is where that elite performance shows up because we can visualize what it's supposed to look like. How do we actually do it though, when we have these distractions that are kind of habitual things, right? Not answering the phone for a super high I that is a people pleaser that doesn't want to disappoint anybody is a really challenging thing to do. It like goes against our nature. It does. It goes against our nature. It feels hard until it doesn't. If you set proper expectations with your customers, the challenge is only in your head because the customer doesn't even expect you to answer, right? If you're not setting expectations, it's another opportunity for growth here. But you do need to schedule your success, schedule for the growth. One of my coaches back in the day, he literally had me write it down. I put it on my wall. He says, we don't stop to service today's business before we find future business. It was like our mantra. We don't stop to service today's business before we find future business. He also shared with me, and we had it on our walls, is focus can look rude, and that's okay. Focus can look rude, and that's okay. What he means by that is like, my goals are more important than every single one of your guys' goals to me. And your goals are more important than my goals to you, right? Like, it's subjective. Though, if I come and say, hey, you got a second? And now you're taking away from your goals to help me with my goals, what are you saying about your goals? If your spouse or your children were watching you like a fly on the wall work, and they see that you're actually not purposefully engaging with your work to move it forward, and yet you're just like chit-chatting and helping other people and answering questions and like lollygagging throughout the day, lack of like purpose and drive, what would they say? What would they actually be saying about their belief in your performance that day? Sometimes it's a little bit of a gut check. For me, I took that really personally because I want my kids and my wife to be proud and understand that like I leave the house to actually better our lives, not to better my life and just have a social network of really cool people to hang out with. But I'm actually moving our business, our lifestyles, our income, our families forward at an incredible rate because I love them, I care about them, our goals are huge, we have huge financial plans and dreams, and we desire to retire at some point and not have to rely on like stupid social security indexes and other things. Like, we don't want to rely on that. We want to control everything. You don't have that plan, that clarity, then it's like, how do you know if you're winning? And if other people are watching from the outside in, what would they be saying? Is that an elite performer crushing their job right now? Or what are they doing? Right? If Gary Keller came in here to the office and started hanging out and shadowing, would he be like, that guy gets it? They get it. Or would he be going like, we need to get out of here? Internalize that. I know it's not the funnest thing to think about. It's also very important. Okay? Prioritization. Do what's most important first. When does your day start? Real question. When you wake up? When does your work day start? In the morning? Look, the workday for the best, and I have the luxury of coaching the best. The workday starts the day before. It really does. There's a day in your business that you build such great habits that the day before doesn't actually have to be super purposeful and intentional. You don't have to like sit down and like plan your tomorrow because you already have the habits of a performer and you crush it every day and you win, which no longer is difficult because it's just how we do things. Is it difficult to wake up and brush your teeth and to put clothes on and to like walk? No.
Yes, sometimes it is.
Yes. Appreciate the honesty. If she's talking like this, we know why. No, here's the deal though. These are habits that we've built into our life, right? As young children, it was a pain in our parents' butts to get us to build those habits of starting our day and ending our day and flossing and all the stuff. And yet today, it's just what we do. And if we don't do it, we feel weird, don't we? Like, you just feel off that day. You should, because you broke a cardinal rule that is to the core of your being, that this is important. Like, it's important for me and everybody around me. This is what I do, right? And this is the same thing. It's like, once a habit is built into your brains, not doing it makes you feel weird. So that's where you want to get in your life, where you say, look, peak performance is a natural thing. And you show up like, I joke with Carrie because she's like unconsciously competent. Like, she's so competent, she's so capable of performing at such a high level, she's not even aware of it. She just runs, right? Like, it's it's an impressive thing. It's like I laser focus on this from doing this to this, and I know what goes on here and I know what goes on here. It doesn't take a lot of brain power for her to process that and to think at that speed and to take those actions and do the work. It shows up because consistency long term. The day starts your workday starts the day prior by planning for tomorrow. When you sit down the night before and you looked at your calendar for tomorrow and you said, what do I want to achieve tomorrow in my business? Starting with understanding our most important things. How many leads do I want to generate tomorrow? How many conversations will I need to have? By when will it be done? How many appointments will I find or schedule? Through what actions will I do to get this done? You plan it. And you say, look, I'm gonna take the bull by the horns, and I'm gonna be at the office at 8 a.m. And from 8 to 10, I'm gonna focus on calling my sphere of influence. My goal is to have 15 conversations from that and find one lead that wants to do business through referral. If you can internalize that and you like, tomorrow, that's my game plan. Waking up in the morning changes your belief structure, changes how you behave, doesn't it? Because you just made a commitment towards what tomorrow's going to look like. Now you wake up and you're like, hey, I'm on a clock. I have to be at the office by 8 a.m. so I can start doing these actions because I just mapped out my game plan. Don't do the work if you have no intention of doing the work, right? Don't sit down and map out your day if you're not going to do anything with it. Don't lie to yourself. That's another really bad habit that a lot of people get into, and it's the demise of a real estate agent. You want to make a lot of money, stop lying to yourself. Be true to your word and actually do what you say you're going to do. We say this a lot, but it's like, it's actually not about selling real estate long-term. It is about following a schedule and just owning what you do during that time block. You become so successful that you manage your schedule. Your clients don't manage your schedule. You do. It's your schedule. Nobody else can do that for you. Take that from you. Prioritize it. There's 5 things that should be on your schedule that I think are really important. A lot of people just choose not to schedule it. Practicing your skills. I would encourage doing it first and foremost. Why? Because it starts your mind on finding future business. Remember, we're visualizing and we're practicing closing for an appointment. How many times? 6 times. So when you practice this for 30 minutes with a colleague or a friend, or even just in the mirror, the next natural progression in your business is to actually make the phone calls, right? Like if you practiced it and then didn't do it, it would feel weird. That's kind of like warming up, getting ready to go for a run and then not going for a run.
That's great.
Yeah, like you get all like ready and then you just don't do it. It's different, you know? So you practice first. It needs to go in your schedule, right? It's not in your schedule. It probably doesn't exist for you. You'll probably just go about your day and not do it. It's easy to let go. So plan it. Hey, what time are we meeting to role play tomorrow morning? You text your friend the night before. Are you in? You going down? We're going to do this? I'll call you or you call me. What's happening? What time? Lock it in. And then I'll be at the office from this time to this time, and we're going to schedule our lead generation actions. By the way, that's not lead follow-up. Lead generation, which means we're having purposeful conversations to drive and generate leads. What is your definition of a lead? Do you think that the definition varies from person to person? Do you have clarity on what that is? If you did, would you know how to ask for it differently? It's important to know these things. It's your business, right? I'm not going to like tell you what a lead is for you, though I know exactly what it is for our organization. So we know exactly what we're asking for. And when we identify a lead, we can communicate with it differently. Let me give you an example. So we believe a lead is somebody that is going to do business with or without us in the next 90 days. That's a lead. Again, with or without us. We just identified it during lead generation. So now our job is to follow up with the leads that we've identified, because why? They're gonna do business in the next 90 days based on our belief. So why wouldn't we follow up? But let me tell you, if somebody says, hey, Aaron, my brother wants to buy in Portland, Oregon. He's relocating for work and he's gonna move there in like 90 days-ish. Here's his contact information, follow up with him. Awesome. I'm gonna take that. If I called him and texted him and emailed him this lead and he didn't answer or respond to my call, text, or email after receiving that lead, what do I do now? Oh, no. I follow up until they buy or die, because I know they're gonna do business in the next 90 days, right? So I don't feel bad about calling, texting, emailing again, Hey, your friend says that you're relocating. We need to talk. What's going on? Hey, is this not the right number? Should I call you at a different time? Can we talk at this time? We're going to follow up aggressively because I have an understanding that they're gonna do business in my market with or without me. Understood? So if I get the same referral, my brother wants to relocate to your area this time next year. Here's his name, contact information, blah, 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 follow up with him. Now I call, text, email, he's probably a year out and he doesn't respond. I might try again, maybe a third time because I'm a really good pro. And if that dude still isn't responding, I'm moving on with my life because it's not a lead. The timeline is too long. Now, they stay in the communication plan. We stay, engaging to identify how we can work with this person. So when they become a lead based on my definition, we are on it. Because we want to convert the leads as best as possible. And, the millions are made in the follow-up. That's where majority of transactions result from, is actually in the follow-up process. So we're going to budget our time for lead generation, where we are seeking out to find leads, not necessarily to convert leads, but simply to identify them. So as we're calling our database and saying, hey, here's or what's your timeline? If you learn that, yeah, we've actually been thinking the kids are graduating, we're thinking about doing something in the near future, you can then start moving them towards an appointment, because we know we have a window in which this lead is going to transact. So now our goal is to schedule an appointment. And sometimes you catch them so early that they're not ready to schedule an appointment. Therefore, you need to put them in a follow-up plan until you schedule the appointment, right? Kids are graduating, thinking about selling. Fantastic. Yeah, we need to get cleaned up. Things aren't ready. We're not ready to have it come out yet. Hey, that's okay. Well, why don't I do this? Why don't I follow up with you this time next week at this time? And we could talk more about scheduling a time for when would be appropriate for me to come out and help you assess your timeline and your goals. Would that be okay with you? Right? Your goal, your priority number one now is, once you've identified the appointment, is to schedule an appointment. And if you fail at scheduling an appointment, priority number two is to get an appointment for scheduling an appointment. Like the backup plan. Hey, let's meet. No. Okay, well, let's talk this time next week about meeting. Okay. Right? Like, okay, cool. We're moving it forward. And then you just follow up. So lead generate goes on your calendar. Practice lead gen, then lead follow up. Following up with leads doesn't take as much time as generating leads, because you're calling a much smaller segment of your database that is defined as leads in your opinion. And your goal from there is literally just to move them towards having a relationship with you. Calls, text, emails, direct messages, handwritten notes, invitations to events that you're doing, whatever you can do to insert yourself in their world as their professional. Okay. That's what you're going to do in lead follow-up. The next thing you need to plan for, and you could schedule, is going on appointments. Like, what's your ideal business day and what's your ideal timeline for which you go on appointments, whether you're on listing appointments or in strategy sessions with customers or showing properties? What's that ideal time block? Again, if you don't have that ideal time block, nobody will ever fit within your ideal time block. But as soon as you say, in my business, I generate leads from 8 to 11. I follow up on leads from 11 to 11:30. I go on lunch. And then from 12:30 to 2:30, I'm on appointments, which just means I'm showing properties or in strategy sessions or listing appointments. And if somebody says, hey, can you show me this house today at 4 o'clock? You can easily say, more than likely I can, though, is it possible that you can do it between 12:30 and 2 today? Because you have this ideal time block, your goal is now to just kind of fit everybody into your schedule. And if they go, unfortunately, no, I couldn't, you can then say, well, let me research the property. If today doesn't work, could you do between 12:30 and 2:30 tomorrow by chance? Your goal is to just kind of move them to adapt to your schedule more than you adapting to their schedule because you're the professional. If you called the dentist today because you have a toothache, they're not gonna like, can you meet me at 4 today to fix my tooth, dentist? The answer's gonna be like, no. We can do 3 months from now, or whatever. Typical dentist. Yeah, so schedule it. Oh, and by the way, you can also schedule writing and negotiating contracts. That's the 5th thing that should be long in your day. These things are like normal and customary things that we need to do to move our businesses forward. So plan for it, prioritize it, put it in your calendar, okay? So understand your lead generation model. We're not gonna dig super deep on this, but if you're a prospecting based company, which I would encourage you to be one if you're not, if you have more money than you have time, go marketing based all the way. If you have more time than you have money, then be a prospecting based leader to influence more opportunities. Okay, that's an easy way to measure what direction you should go. Marketing has the greatest leverage and can net you the greatest return on your investment of time because it's leverageable. The challenge is it takes an enormous amount of dollars to generate ready, willing, and able consumers right now on a consistent model. I haven't found very many people that right out of the gates are generating a tremendous amount of like convertible leads instantly, right? Through marketing. Do the marketing, don't be a marketing based person that spends all their hours focused on marketing versus focused on prospecting. Prospecting has power in it that you can control. And again, prospecting is so many different sources. Something to note about sellers and professionals. We talked about for sale by owners earlier. We understand that 80%, and that's what it says right, 80% of sellers contacted only one agent before they decided to hire that agent. 80%. So when a for sale by owner, and we know that about 80% of FSBOs actually list with agents. So if 80% of for sale by or sellers interview one agent, and about 80% of for sale by owners actually list with an agent, then don't you agree you need to be the first person to interview with that for sale by owner? Because if you're not, what happens to the opportunities for you to convert that business? If you're not in the first appointment, I mean, it's a very small percentage actually interview 2 people. But if you're not the first, you're probably, statistically, you're not setting yourself up to succeed easily. You're gonna have to fight at a much higher rate to earn that business. And I don't wish that upon anybody. I want this to become easy and effortless for you. So when you meet these customers and you gain permission to stay in contact with them, when they're ready and they're comfortable to make a decision, you earn the right to interview or earn the right to get the job. If you're the first person in the door, all the other people becomes like, they're reselling the fact that you did a great job of meeting with them. They're like, these guys are just bothering me now. All of these real estate agents are just bothering me. I'm hiring you because you didn't bother me. You did a great job on meeting with me, helping me, and then following up with me. Everybody else is a bother because they're in their head. You're not the right person for them. Make sense? So if you're not first, man, you're setting yourself up for some challenges. So I just wanted to point that out there. Overall wealth comparison gap between owners and renters. Another thing that you need to understand, and we're not going to dig really deep on this, but significant gaps of wealth. Significant gaps of wealth. Look at that. I mean, it's like, it's concerning. The people that are not homeowners need to be homeowners. If you care about your friends and family and the people inside of your database, If you care about people and they're inquiring about becoming a homeowner that you identify that they're not, help them. Because this is life-changing dollars. Life-changing dollars. And we have this like fiduciary responsibility to help people do that, right? It's a big deal. All right, when we start making money, we need to hold it accountable. One of the 10 steps, hold your money accountable, which means you actually need to know what your money looks like. So a simple tip that Gary Keller has taught us and models for us is that we visit our money weekly. We visit our money weekly, and yet we hold it accountable monthly. So what does that mean? If we're investing in like social media ads, it's a very hot topic right now. And it works, by the way. So if you're not doing it, I'd encourage you to dabble, you figure it out. But you gotta visit it. So let's say we spend $100 on social media, Facebook, and every single week you need to assess it. What did we accomplish? What was the goal? And what did we accomplish? If we're not getting a return, it's not that we need to make radical changes because we're just visiting it and understanding it. What's our ROI? Though we need to look at it. And then at the end of the month, we could say, look, we had an expectation that this $100 would drive this many leads or this many registrations or whatever it was that you set as a game plan. If you're not there, we either need to cut it as a part of accountability, like you're fired, Facebook, we're not doing that anymore. You're not performing to my expectation, or we need to have a fierce conversation with it. Look, we need to remodify this ad. We need to tweak it. We need to change it. Because if we just allow it to keep going and going and going based on what we're experiencing, we're just going to flush money down the toilet, right? So visiting it weekly allows you to take a peek under the hood to make sure that the fluids are there, making sure that it's moving in the way you want it. You don't actually have to tweak and modify it every week, though you want to explore, are we on goal or off goal based on what we're spending? If you have staff or administrative partners, like you could do the same thing. We don't need to hold them accountable to a degree every week, but we do need to visit with it every week because it's an investment of time and money and we expect a return. Yeah. So we're gonna look at it, and then at the end of the month, if it's not in a alignment with our return on our investment that we expect, we're not firing people, but we're having accountability conversations that say, hey, we need to start behaving differently. These expectations need to be set now, and this is what you're responsible for. Eventually, there might be a time where you say, look, we have to part ways. It doesn't make sense for us, the business, to continue to be in partnership with you based on these models because it is an investment. So visit the money. You got to understand your expectation of your return. Communication is the name of our business. Consider standardizing some of the communication expectations for your current customers. Remember, there's no emergencies in real estate. Like it can feel like an emergency in the moment, and yet waiting a couple of hours or waiting, if they call me at 8 o'clock tonight, waiting until the next morning, nothing's going to be different. There's no business is being done at 9 o'clock at night. So because there's no emergencies, like we can set expectations on how people you'll communicate with them, and then they can communicate with you. A simple thing to do is actually create a schedule. Now I understand, and hear me loud and clear, that we operate pretty much 24/7. There's a lot of truth to this. And in this industry, it's pretty valid for certain people, but that doesn't have to be your business model. So I would operate on a model that's, look, I'm a 9 to 5, Monday through Friday business person and business partner of yours. And if you need me outside of business hours, here's what you can expect from me. You can call me 24/7. Please call me 24/7 or text me 24/7. Just understand. And if it's outside of business hours, I'm a little bit more difficult to get a hold of because I'm either with customers that had appointments or I'm with my family doing cool stuff. And as my promise to you though, is I'm going to screen everything. And if it's urgent and important, I'm gonna stop what I'm doing, or before the end of the day, I will get back to you, because I'm a good business person. But if it's not urgent and important, can I have your permission now to call you the following day to address what you texted or called me about? And everybody's like, of course, totally cool. Because I'm setting the expectation now. So when they text me at 7 o'clock at night saying, hey, can you tell me about what happened with blah, 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 or there's a new listing that showed up and I'm really interested in it. When I choose to not engage with that dialogue because it's not urgent and important, it can wait until the next business day, they're not mad. I set the expectation. Like if I made a recommendation for you guys to go out to dinner to a fancy restaurant, and I said, hey, go eat this, it's gonna it's gonna blow your mind, the food is amazing. And you show up to the restaurant and you sit down, you have an amazing meal, but the service sucks, right? You hate it. They're not refilling your drinks. They're not asking how things are. They're not showing up. They're just terrible wait staff. You're going to be frustrated with the experience. And now you're going to take my referral and you're gonna be like, yeah, I mean, I guess the food was good, but I'm not going back there. That sucks. But let me reframe this for you. If I give you the referral, I say, hey, you guys really got to try this restaurant. It's going to blow your mind. The service sucks, but the food is amazing. Now you go. Right? Because you choose to go for it. And the service sucks. What happens? It almost becomes a joke. It almost becomes a laughing matter and you're enjoying the fact that the service kind of sucks because yeah, it's what we came to expect. The food is amazing. Don't get me wrong. And yeah, this service sucks. Maybe you won't go back, but because there was an expectation set on what you're going to experience when you get there, when you experienced it, no longer am I the bad guy. You're like, yeah. Expected that. But if there's no expectation set, like if I text you and there's no expectation set on when you can expect a response from me as your business partner, and I don't respond instantly, what happens in their brains? Why not? They're too busy for me. Are they even my agent anymore? Like, what's going on? All these weird, crazy things show up because they have this like weird preconceived notion that we should be at their beck and call 24/7. And it's only because you chose to not set the expectations. Are you with me? So when you set the expectations, then follow through with it. Actually create in your schedule. This is when I'm committed to calling and reaching out and talking to these people. Call it like follow-up Fridays. I know it says FU Fridays, but you know, it's kind of fun. So yeah, FU Fridays. Follow-up Fridays. But you set the expectation that, look, on Fridays between 3 and 5, every Friday, without a doubt, you will get a phone call from me if we haven't talked in the week prior. I am committed to that process. It's in my calendar. If you don't hear from me, call help because something bad's happened. This is non-negotiable. You can expect this from me. Now, as your business person, if you don't follow through with what you said, be careful, right? You have to actually do what you say you're going to do. Schedule it and do it. Magic shows up when you're doing
Add
it.
something to that.
Yeah.
I think that the biggest thing with protecting your schedule, it's the biggest misconception of real estate agents. And it was something that took me a really long time to actually hand over during my strategy session. Like, this is our hours of operations, and just being very, very clear, like, I have a family. We all have families. And so, you know, if there is an emergency, I will do whatever it takes. But the second that we train people how to treat us, and the second that you deviate from that, and I'm guilty of it too. I mean, the other night it was 10:15 and Justin's like, are you seriously on the phone with an agent? And I was, but
It happens.
an agent wasn't fun. But the second that you answer your phone at 5 a.m., the second that you answer your phone at 10 a.m. or 10 p.m., they will keep doing it. They will bulldoze you and they will keep doing it. So unless you've got to stick to it, it's super important. And the more people that you have, the more people won't listen to your schedules. And so if you remind them too, you know, hey, I realized that you called me last night at 9:30 p.m. If you remember, you know, I was in bed. So you're of course my first priority. And again, I have a conference call at 8 a.m. So that's why I'm calling you at 8:30.
Right.
You train them and then they will stop doing it.
Yep.
But you
Yep.
have to protect your schedule.
You have to. If you don't protect your schedule or you don't create your schedule, they will. They will create a schedule for you, whether you like it or not. they're going to take your time and they're gonna move you in a direction that you may not like. And then this is where, and I see this happen a lot, is people get really frustrated with the business as a whole because it's like this all-encompassing 24/7 expectation to be on. And not a lot of agents make a lot of money. So when you're not making a lot of money and you're on all the time, it's like, what the heck are we doing? I mean, some of us can go get great jobs at like Chick-fil-A and be better and work 5 days a week and literally not have these like crazy expectations and make more money and have benefits and all this other stuff. Seriously. Remember I said earlier, there's no floor. There's no floor. You can lose money in this industry. You can go bankrupt. It's bad. So you have to be really conscious and understand, like, my return on my investment is a measurable of time, energy, and output. And I need customers to serve customers, to sell customers properties to make money, right? I want you to think of service as a professional, not as a friend. We don't need any more friends. We need more customers. If you needed a really great attorney, you might earn the right to become a friend of that professional that you hire, and yet that's not what you're hiring them for. You're hiring them as a professional, and you're going to abide by their professional timelines. You're going to call, you're probably going to have a filtration process with their assistant to get on their time to talk to them, and you're paying them really good money for it. But you can't text your attorney at 8 o'clock at night, well, unless you're like Michael Jordan. Clearly, there's exceptions to all these rules, you guys. Though when you really operate as a business person, you're a professional first and a friend second. And a professional doesn't need more friends, we need more customers. And those customers can earn the rights to our hearts. They can earn the rights to become great friends and lifelong friends. And I hope you build a lot of lifelong friendships by helping them accumulate or sell real estate. I know I personally have, and I really hope you do as well. That's just you guys are amazing human beings. You're likable and you hang out with us long enough, you're going to want to hang out with us more. So we have fun, right? That's not the purpose though. You don't need to be friends with everybody. Think of being a professional first and foremost, and set the expectations like a professional does. Okay. And lastly, be accountable. Be accountable. Coaches, MAPS coaches are trained through MREA modeling. We are trained to have really direct conversations that help you be in alignment with your goals. My personal coach had me do things that I didn't want to do that really reshaped and helped me become the person I am today, to have the business that I have and the revenue that we earn. It's amazing. It's amazing. So hire somebody, and if you can't hire somebody, be accountable to somebody. Before I hired on my first coach, my friend kind of coached me, and he made a suggestion that I print out commission checks that were equivalent to what I would earn if I did my work. And every day that I failed at doing my work, I would have to go home and burn a commission check with my wife and kids as a display. Right? And Pacific Northwest, my average commission is like $13,000. So it's like that photocopy of a $13,000 check. And I go, hey, I got everybody in the bathroom. I go, what's up? What are we doing this for? It's because I didn't do my job today. Yeah, that happened more than I like to admit. But it's this ceremonious thing that's I don't want to do this. When my son goes, this is the stupidest thing I've ever seen, Dad. Just do your work. Why would we do this? So that we can have this pain in our life that we don't want to do that, right? I was accountable to my family. Therefore, I had to demonstrate to them that I'm committed to winning so we can hit our goals. At some point, I wanted to kind of separate my family from that. So we hire people, right? When you could afford to hire people and you get people in your world. Yeah, if you can't do it alone, get a team, join a team, partner with somebody that is doing it, that wants to see better for you. That's all it's about. We all want to win. There's an abundance of business in our industry. Every single one of us can win abundantly right here in this market with There's no reason why we can't help each other. So those, my friends, are the 10 simple steps to tripling your business. What are you hearing? What are some of the ahas or takeaways that came up? We've got about 6 minutes for the allotted time. What did you hear?
Oh, self-discipline.
All about self-discipline. Mhm. There's a lot of truth to that. It's a mindset game. So I did a Ironman, it's a 140.6 mile triathlon. And obviously there's a physical fitness aspect to it. But I'll tell you, 60-70% of it is mindset. Like, no matter how hard it gets, you're still one step forward. You keep going. You know where the finish line is, but if your mind ain't right, you're quitting. Like, you don't even sign up, right? If your mind ain't right. But when you're in the trenches, and if your mind's messed up, oh, good luck. Get your mind right. What else?
I think that it doesn't matter if you've been in the business for a year, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, whatever. It's so easy how quickly you forget to just do the, 10 principles or the 10 things that we're supposed to do because we get caught up in the business. And, our team has had a lot of conversations just because the market has changed so much in even a year or 6 months, and how quickly we forget the things that we're working to move the business forward and to continue to grow the business. And then all of a sudden it's like, it's just sticking into the foundational things and doing the same things over and over and over again to get, results. And I think that that's one thing that we've really talked a lot about is like, this is working, like this works, keep doing it, because everybody just stops doing the things that work for them.
Yeah. Yeah, we tend to stop only because we have distractions showing up that feel like a bigger priority than what was originally the game plan. And then it's like, look, if we just stayed true to the original business plan, just stayed true to the consistent activities long enough, we're bound to win. But we lose sight, we give up too quick. Okay, this is where you can go download the slides. Also, if you'd like to have a coaching consultation, I am a major advocate for MAPS coaching. And so I would be happy to have a coaching conversation with you and see and explore if hiring a coach is a good fit for you and your business. If not, we'll just have a really cool conversation. So feel free to go there. Thank you. My pleasure.